When an owner contacts our service, we can provide them with specialist advice and information related to empty homes and issues around empty homes. This might include advice on council tax related issue, VAT and merchant discounts. It could really just anything related to empty homes and empty homes related issues. So the owners that contact us can face a wide variety of problems in bringing their empty home back into use. This might include financial issues, so they can't finance a project to bring their empty home back into use. There's also quite a few owners have, say, an emotional attachment to the empty home, so they find it really, really difficult to address and really get down to bringing it back into use. Sometimes major damage has occurred, so that it's really just a mammoth task of really thinking what they're going to do about the empty home. But essentially no two cases are the same. There's a whole wide variety of reasons why they struggle to bring an empty home back into use. Owners often contact us not having a clue what they want to do with their empty home. So how our service works is we really get to know the owner and know their problems and the situation with the home. Is essentially we work thinking the person before the property. They might not have an idea of what they want to do, but we're willing to provide the advice, work through any issues they may have, and really help them find what solution works best for them. Equally, sometimes we're contacted by owners who have a very specific idea in mind of what they want to do with the empty home, but for whatever reason this just might not be practical, they just can't do it. So we're willing to work with these people, we find out really what works best for them, and sometimes they end up going in a completely different direction to what they'd first intended with their empty home when they contacted us. So when neighbours contact our service, there's a wide variety of issues they might be having, and that means there's a wide variety of advice we can provide. Often when neighbours contact us, it's because they live next to or very, very near to an empty home which is causing a problem in the community. We can provide advice on, say, enforcement to bring the symptoms of the empty home under control. We can provide advice on security, how they can safeguard their own property, and even shared repairs if they're living in a flat or tenement where an empty home is causing an issue. Recently we were contacted by a neighbour living next to an empty home. They lived in a semi-detached property where the property next door to them was empty. It became empty when the owner suddenly got up and left one day. This was several years ago, and they had no contact with them. They didn't even know where to begin looking. So over the years this property began to deteriorate. The neighbour reported to us that windows had broken, the garden was looking really overgrown, and they were just really concerned about living next door to this empty home and didn't really know what to do about it or who they could contact. So we took time, we listened to the neighbour and we got to understand their case. Through the course of communication, they've revealed to us that there had been a further incident with the empty home, in that neighbours in the street had noticed water flowing out the front door. This had been down to a burst pipe inside the empty home which nobody had been able to pick up on. Due to not being able to contact the owner, there was no remedial works carried out and the empty home deteriorated further. Eventually, once the owner contacted us, we were able to involve the local authority, who were able to trace the owner. This was quite a difficult case in some ways, but eventually the owner did respond and indicated they'd like to move back into their property. So the local authority was able to offer them advice and support. Meanwhile, we offered advice and practical support to the neighbour, such as how to safeguard their property and what further actions were being taken. The latest that we've heard was that this owner is actually continuing works to get their property back up to standard and hopes to return to the empty home soon, making it into a home once again. Quite often we are contacted by people who are interested in taking on an empty homes project. When these people contact us, we're able to provide advice on how to look for, identify and purchase an empty home in the area that they're interested in. I believe that taking on an empty property is an option for somebody looking to own their own home. We're quite often contacted by people who might be first-time buyers, or they're looking for an alternative route to purchase a property, and in a lot of these cases an empty home could be a good option. Recently, the advice service was contacted by an individual who was looking to buy their first home. They felt priced out of the property market in Edinburgh and Glasgow, as they knew that the property prices they're so high, and they were really struggling to afford what a lot of sellers were asking. So they thought empty homes could be an alternative route. They contacted our service, and we were able to provide them with advice and suggestions on how they could look for or identify an empty home. This advice was ongoing. We were able to follow them through the process of identifying, referring on to local authority, and sorting out mortgage information with the hope of getting an empty home. We're still in communication with this individual, and we hope that they might be able to purchase an empty home, but it's really just a reminder that empty homes can be an option for those looking to buy a first-time property.